Welcome to Preservation Oaks, the podcast where we invite you to step away from the bustle of everyday life. Settle in and relax, and take a moment to leave the familiar behind as we explore the hidden gems of America that preserve our cultural past. We call them our Preservation Oaks, and with each episode, we'll journey to a different corner of the country, where we'll discover the unique histories, landscapes, and communities that make up our nation. We'll visit with local museums, historical and genealogical societies. They are the stewards of these stories. They preserve the legacy of each place like precious pieces of fabric in a quilt that binds the freedom-loving, hardworking people in this country together. So, slow down, grab a beverage, open your mind, and let us take you on a tour of the fascinating histories and heartfelt traditions that lie just beyond the horizon. This is Preservation Oaks, where every story is a stitch in the fabric of our shared culture. Now, join our host, Sean Radcliff, as he uncovers another thread in the tapestry of America's heritage and what it takes to preserve it.
Hey there, and welcome back to Preservation Oaks. I'm so glad you're here. Happy 4th of July Independence Day to everybody. Today's episode is one you won't want to miss. It's not only our Independence Day episode, but we're also joined by the incredible Sharon Leslie Morgan, founder of the Our Black Ancestry Foundation, a trailblazing organization dedicated to helping African Americans connect with their roots, preserve historic records, and to heal generational wounds left by slavery. Today we'll explore Sharon's powerful work in the world of genealogy, dig into the mission of the Our Black Ancestry Foundation, and share practical tips you can use to start or deepen your own family research journey. Quick heads up, you can find us on preservationoaks.podbean.com and pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, such as Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, you name it. If you enjoy the show, it really helps when you like, comment, follow, or subscribe. Every bit of love keeps the mission alive. All right, want to be a guest? Got questions or feedback? Hit us up on preservationoaks@gmail.com. To everyone supporting us, thank you. Your energy fuels this show and honors the heroes out there preserving our shared history. You're making a difference. And before we dive in, big news. Our next episode is our 100th. Yep, and we're celebrating by taking you on a bold, imaginative leap into the future. We're calling it a 100-year journey into the future, where we'll take a peek at what life might look like a century from now. And trust me, you'll want to be there. And now here's a biography of today's guest, Sharon Leslie Morgan. Sharon is a renowned writer, genealogist, and multicultural communications expert. She founded OurBlackAncestry.com, an online community devoted to celebrating and exploring African American family history. For more than 25 years, Sharon has guided others on their ancestry journeys. In fact, she has extensively researched family histories in Alabama and Mississippi, where her own ancestors lived. In every project, she combines professional know-how with a personal passion for helping Black families discover their roots and embrace their heritage in a warm, accessible way. Before turning full-time to genealogy, Sharon built a trailblazing career in marketing and public relations. She served as Vice President of Communications at Burrell Communications and at E. Morris Communications. Both are pioneering multicultural agencies in Chicago. She later started her own firm, the Morgan Group, and was a founder of the National Black Public Relations Society. A veteran of Fortune 100 marketing, Sharon spent years living and working abroad, from spearheading telecom marketing in South Africa to even running her own soul food restaurant in Paris. These international experiences give her a broad perspective that she brings to every conversation. Sharon is a prolific author. In 1975, she published My Daddy is a Cool Dude, a children's poetry book that was nominated for the Caldecott Medal. In 2012, she co-authored Gather at the Table, that's from Beacon Press, with Thomas Norman DeWolf, a memoir exploring the personal legacies of slavery, which went on to win the Phyllis Wheatley Book Award for Best Nonfiction Memoir in 2019. Her most recent book is Finding Your Family Tree, a beginner's guide to researching your genealogy, which was published in 2023. It's a step-by-step guide aimed at novice researchers and underrepresented groups. She also co-authored Real Women Cook and wrote a Paris memoir showing the range of her storytelling. Sharon's leadership in the genealogy field has earned her many honors. In 2019, she received the James Dent Walker Award, which is the highest honor of the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society. Gather at the Table received a Phyllis Wheatley Book Award at the 2013 Harlem Book Fair. And in 2021, Sharon was a Roots Tech keynote speaker on a virtual stage of over 1 million family history enthusiasts. She's an active organizer and member of the community. For example, she sits on the board of the Noxubee County Historical Society in Mississippi and was a founding member of the genealogical forum Afrogenius. Sharon is also a member of the National Genealogical Society and the Afro-American Historical and Genealogical Society. Reflecting her commitment to the field, she even holds lifetime membership in Mensa, the High IQ Society. With her blend of global experience, marketing savvy, and heartfelt dedication to Black family history, Sharon Leslie Morgan brings both warmth and expertise to every conversation. I'm delighted to welcome her on the show and look forward to the insights she'll share. All right, let's get into it. This is the Preservation Oaks podcast, and here's our conversation with Sharon Leslie Morgan. Welcome to the program, Sharon.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sharon, you've lived and worked all over the world. You cut your teeth in Chicago. How did you decide to live and work in Macon, Mississippi?
I was doing research on my family history, which is based here in Macon, Mississippi, and therefore I decided to come here and write a book about it.
Okay. What was the first spark that got you curious about your family's history? Was there a moment or story that lit the fire?
The stories that lit the fire was when I realized that ancestors on both sides of my family were enslaved. And I actually knew one of them, who was my great-grandmother, who had been enslaved in Lowndes County, Alabama. And she was alive when I was a baby, so I didn't get to really talk to her. But when I realized that that was true, it really propelled my mission.
Oh, yeah. You got to meet her? You didn't get to meet her?
I did get to meet her. My father would take me over to visit her.
Oh, wow. That's cool. In Chicago, right?
In Chicago.
Wow. How long did you live in Chicago?
I was born and raised in Chicago.
Yeah.
So until I started traveling the world, I lived in Chicago. The first time I left, I was in my 30s.
Okay. When you started Our Black History Ancestry, and you're the founder of the Our Black History Foundation, did you imagine it would become such a vital digital community? What was your original vision?
My original vision was to share what I had learned about doing genealogical research related to African Americans. And thus I established Our Black Ancestry. And I'm shocked that it has actually grown to be as big as it is. We now have more than 36,000 members on Facebook. And it is a very active peer community where people will help you if you have a question or you want a solution to a research problem. So I'm very proud of what I've done.
You should be. Now, do you have volunteers helping you?
Yes, I have several volunteers. I could not do this by myself. Now that it has grown as big as it is, there's no way I could do it alone.
Right.
So yes, I have volunteers. They help me keep up with the Facebook page. They manage our DNA database. They manage the surname database. So they are very helpful.
Very cool. You're doing great work. Great work. Can you tell our listeners a bit about yourself and your journey into African American genealogical research? What inspired you to found the Our Black Ancestry Foundation?
There's not really a lot to tell about me. You will find most of it on my website, which has a biography of who I am and what I do. And on the genealogy, was always an avocation, not my profession, until I retired.
Okay.
So when I founded Our Black Ancestry, that was a big departure from what I'd done before. I used to be a marketing communications consultant, and I worked for many Fortune 100 companies like Walmart, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, people like that, companies like that. But that profession was unrelated to what I do with genealogy.
Okay. Well, when did you start the Facebook group and the website?
In 2007.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. Now, you lived in Jamaica, South Africa, and France, and that's quite a passport. What's something you learned abroad that changed how you see America?
I learned, that's interesting. Okay. America was built on the backs of enslaved people. It is the source of wealth, the wealth that America has now. And that is true of all of these other countries as well. So when you go to Jamaica, and you realize slavery was very much in effect in Jamaica.
Yeah.
South Africa, France, which was a major slave trading country. And you realize that this is very interconnected because the wealth of the Western world was built on slavery.
Now, I understand there's still slavery in the world today. Isn't that crazy?
That is true. And yes, that is not just crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. I just cannot imagine how people can do that. But we're in a new world, and hopefully it will end. Genealogy can take you down some emotional rabbit holes. How do you care for yourself when the history you uncover gets heavy?
I do research for other people, and my specialty is finding people and connections during the slavery period. And it is very difficult because the stories can be so incredibly sad. My great-great-grandmother was sold as a 9-year-old child and taken from her mother and transported to Mississippi. This is a 9-year-old child. And at the time, I had a 9-year-old granddaughter. And I was like, just imagine that this could happen to my baby Violet.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times when I cry. There are times when I am very angry. And mostly, I am really dedicated to the idea of healing. We have to address the historical harm, confront it in order to be able to heal, which is what I wrote about in my book that I did with Tom DeWolf.
Yes. Do you think you've addressed your healing in a sufficient way, or are you still in progress?
Oh, I'm still in progress.
Okay.
I may never resolve this, but
Yeah, understand.
I'm deep on the path.
Yep. I'm just glad you help other people too, as much as you do. That's very, very good.
Well, I mean, part of helping other people is that it helps alleviate the angst that I feel about my own research, is that I can see how other people have had similar circumstances, and it's important to be able to honor that.
Yes. Yes, agreed. You're part of so many organizations. You're part of the AAHGS, the NGS, Mensa, and probably others that I don't know about. How do you decide where to put your energy when your work spans so many worlds?
I am very specific about how I want to spend my time. So I divide it into, I have an active genealogy practice.
Okay.
So one big thing that I do is that I do research for others. So that's a big deal. The organizations that I'm involved in are, I do what I can for them. I've spoken for them. I have written blogs for them. But I am just really careful because you can't spend yourself out. You have to be careful that you don't overwhelm.
Yeah.
So I kind of pick for the next 6 months, here is what I'm going to devote myself to.
Okay. I was a professional genealogist for a while, and I found myself getting to know the family so well that I actually could get emotionally involved in the discovery, the finding, the stories, that kind of thing. And it must be double when you're researching something that has the history of slavery, right?
Yeah, because the stories are so sad.
Yeah.
So it is very difficult, but sharing the pain, I think, is therapeutic. So I'm not the only one who went through this. I'm not the only one who had ancestors who were enslaved.
Right.
90% of Black people in America were enslaved.
Okay.
So that's basically everybody. And so my story is not really that unique. And it helps me to be able to see what other people have experienced. And we have this shared legacy, and we all need to heal from it.
Right. Plus, you get to see how other people approach it. That's a very good point. Good point you made. All right. I'd like to provide listeners with the contact information for the Our Black Ancestry Foundation. You can find them on their website at ourblack.ancestry.com. You can email them at admin@ourblack.ancestry.com. And their mailing address is Our Black Ancestry Foundation Incorporated, P.O. Box 445, Macon, Mississippi, 39341. And of course, you can find them on their Facebook page at Our Black Ancestry. Sharon, can you tell us more about the Our Black Ancestry Foundation? What are its primary goals and how does it support African American genealogical research?
Our motto is, you are the dream, discover the dreamers.
Okay.
So we try to encourage people to dig into their ancestral past, especially in slavery, and realize that our ancestors had dreams that one day we would be free and we would have a life like we have today. And so we do that. We support preservation of historic properties. We support preservation of records. We support anything that relates to perpetuating research for African American research.
Okay. Well, you mentioned you had a DNA database and you have volunteers. Can you elaborate on the types of other resources and support you offer to researchers?
The greatest support for researchers is probably, well, one is the website, because there's a compendium of resources that you may not find anywhere else. They are specific to African American research. So you can go into our resource page and you can find, if you're looking for things in North Carolina, then you can find links to documents and material that is available in North Carolina or Mississippi or Alabama or wherever. So that's one big thing with the website. With the Facebook page, it is a peer research community. So what happens is that if you have a research question, you can ask it and you know that there are 36,000 people waiting to answer you. And there has never been a request that anyone has put up that has not gotten responses.
Okay, fantastic. So you have a lot of different resources, and a lot of those resources don't exist anywhere else.
No, they're not promoted anywhere else. They are not. Ancestry.com has its model, and their focus is not African American history.
Right.
Family Search, their focus is not African American. So I think that what's unique about us is that we are focused on African American, and there are special things that you need to do in order to do that research.
Right. Yep. There's a lot of knowledge that you guys have and a lot of help that you can bring to people researching their Black ancestry. Now, the way you access those resources on your website is that you first have to get a membership in order to get access to those resources. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Membership is $25 a year.
Right.
Once you are a member, you will get past the paywall and you'll be able to see the resources. And there are links to whatever you need. If you see a resource, Mississippi, you can click on the link and it will take you to the site that will give you what you need.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Now, the way you get a membership, folks, is you go to ourblackAncestry.com and you go down to the left menu and click on Join OBA, and there you can get your membership.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Sharon. Now, Sharon, with no physical location, how do you preserve and share historical materials effectively in the digital age?
Well, we are all living in a digital age, and it has actually made this work easier because many, I won't say most, but many records are now available digitally. So it doesn't really matter where I am.
Right.
Okay. Because you can get it online.
Okay. And you've built a customized platform, between the Facebook page and your website and the unique types of records and resources that you've collected over the years, you and your volunteers. You've really got something great for African American researchers.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Sharon, what are some of the unique challenges faced by researchers trying to trace their enslaved ancestors, and how can they overcome these obstacles?
For the genealogist, the brick wall is at 1870 because that was the first federal census that named formerly enslaved people with surnames. So 1870 is a big deal. But what do you do previous to 1870?
Yeah.
So that's where the problem is. It's like, how do you find that information?
I saw at least one approach on the Who Do You Think You Are program, where they were going to the state of Alabama or Mississippi or Alabama, one of the southern states, and they were actually going to the courthouse and seeing the records of where the slave was purchased and some of the local records that you wouldn't see on Ancestry.com.
That is what I am telling you, is that online you can get the 1870 census.
Right.
To go back previous to that, it often still requires that you go to the site of enslavement to see what the courthouse has, because there can be wills, deeds, bills of sale, a huge amount of material.
Right.
I live in a community where the records here go back to 1833. So I was able to find a complete list of everyone who was enslaved by the person that I was researching, and a track for how they were transferred to others over time.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem, is that part of the records are not online.
Okay. Yep. That makes sense. And you really have to comb through a lot. You've done a lot of work. Have you fully, to your satisfaction anyway, fleshed out your ancestry?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay.
Enough to write a book. I have so much material, I'm having a hard time writing the book because I have so much material. It's like, what do you put in the book?
Well, you've already written a couple of books. What book are you working on now?
It's called the Betty book.
The Betty book. Okay.
And Betty was my great-great-grandmother. She had 17 children with the nephew of her slave owner. And I traced all of those children and have a story now about what happened to her and her children over time.
Wow. Well, that's going to be a book. Have you made contact with the descendants of Betty and those 17 lines?
Yes.
Wow.
In every case, it has been really interesting because she was an African American enslaved woman whose father was a white man. She had 17 children with a white man. So she ends up with these 17 children, half of whom looked really white and half of whom looked not white. And so I have met as many of them as I could. And it's been very interesting.
What an emotional roller coaster. Wow. Wow. Do you have family gatherings, family get-togethers?
Not for my family, but there are other related families that I do attend reunions.
Now, Sharon, can you share some successful case studies or stories of individuals who have made significant progress in tracing their enslaved ancestors with the help of your foundation?
There are several, but I think what I would like to highlight is that a lot of the work that I do in my research is white people who are descendants of slaveholders, and they want to make some type of reparation for what happened in slavery. So I have some examples of building websites, doing research for them that I am very proud of. It is, you reach a point, like when you go past, when I said earlier about 1870, when you go back from that, you have to look at the white people records.
Right.
And they are very well documented. And that is where you might find the answers to what you need. So working with these families who are interested in reparation has been really good. So I've done one for Gwynn's Island, Virginia, where they ran all the Black people off the island in the 1900s. And so my client is trying to have a reunion so Black people can come back and reclaim their roots there. I have another one in Clay County, Missouri, where there was a very large plantation called Multnomah. And we are looking for people who are descendants of who was enslaved at Multnomah. And that has become a big deal.
Wow.
So there are several examples. That's best ones.
You're doing some great work. Great work. Wow. Just bringing this to focus, and having the discussion is worth a lot. Now, Sharon, what strategies do you recommend for researchers who are just starting their journey into African American genealogy?
Well, probably the first thing I would say is buy my book. It's called Finding Your Ancestors.
Okay.
And it is a guide for novices who are doing their research. And that will help you do that. So your first start is that you start with yourself, and then your parents, your grandparents, as far back as you can go, and then you start digging.
Okay, and it's all spelled out in that book?
Yes.
And where can they get that book?
Amazon.
Okay. So folks, look for Finding Your Ancestors by Sharon Leslie Morgan on Amazon, and it will help you to start your research. Thank you, Sharon. What's the wildest, most unexpected thing you ever discovered in someone's family tree?
No. I'm sorry to laugh. There are so many wild things. People killed their siblings.
Ooh.
People had babies with their children. It was amazing. And there are things that have been very shocking.
Right.
So you have to be really careful when you start digging. You never know what you're going to find. So I guess that would be it. You don't know. We don't know who we were related to because slavery severed our family ties.
Right.
So you have no idea. During slavery, some women were forced to have sex with their sons.
Ooh.
Okay. And with their sisters. And it was awful. So when you find those things, it is so shocking and it is so sad.
Yeah.
But you have to forge on.
It was and is a very brutal thing. Yep, I understand. You mentioned a DNA database. How can researchers effectively use DNA testing to supplement their genealogical research, especially when dealing with the complexities of African American ancestry?
People have jumped on DNA as the answer, and it's not.
Okay.
First, you have to build a family tree so that you have a tree, and then your DNA results could have meaning. I use DNA to solve specific problems. I was looking for the white father of my enslaved ancestor, Tom Leslie, in Lowndes County, Alabama. I had done the research. I have the family tree, and I had found the DNA that named a man that was totally not on my map. Okay. But it was proven. So now I have no idea where I got the Leslie family name.
Oh.
So
Interesting.
But I know who he is.
Yeah.
But it led me in a direction that I was not expecting.
Right. Yeah.
Because the name was totally unfamiliar to me. And it ended up that he was a slave trader. And therefore, there was probably no relationship with the woman that he impregnated with my great-grandfather.
Okay. Yep. Understood. Well, Sharon, it's time for a break for a few minutes.
30 minutes flew by faster than a speeding bullet. That's the first time I'll ever hear that at this point in my life.
Listeners, we'll be right back after this important message about joining the Our Black Ancestry Foundation.
What if the story of your family held the power to change your future? In the heart of Macon, Mississippi, the Our Black Ancestry Foundation is helping African Americans across the country and around the world reconnect with their roots, reclaim their narratives, and rediscover the strength in their heritage. Founded by renowned genealogist and author Sharon Leslie Morgan, Our Black Ancestry is more than just a research hub. It's a movement, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering people of African descent to uncover their family histories with dignity, depth, and support.
Through its dynamic online community at ourblacancestry.com, members gain access to powerful genealogy tools, historic records, a DNA database, expert insights, and a safe space to share stories that have been too long forgotten. But Our Black Ancestry goes beyond names and dates. This foundation is preserving historic Black cemeteries, protecting ancestral properties, and promoting healing from the painful legacy of slavery, one story at a time.
Want to join a growing community that's rewriting history from the inside out? Visit ourblacancestry.com today and join OBA. Joining is economical and fuels the ability of the organization to do the work. You can also find and join them on Facebook at Our Black Ancestry. Whether you're just beginning or deep into your journey, you'll find guidance, community, and the inspiration to keep going.
If you have questions, reach out by email at admin@ourblacancestry.com or write us at P.O. Box 445, Macon, Mississippi 39341. Our Black Ancestry Foundation, you are the dream. Discover the dreamers.
I was created by a consummate professional. Everything was just right, notes perfect, precise keys, and the shine, oh my. I was so shiny. John bought me. He was good to me, and that man could play. We'd practice almost every day. Then he'd clean me, and I'd be ready for the next day. Occasionally, he'd give me a good bath and shine me up. What a life we had, driving from place to place, and playing while people danced. Others would join in, and we'd all have a grand time making music. John traded me to Joe for a tenor model. Joe didn't give me baths, and I mostly sat in my case. I was there for years, until I went to a school. I helped youngsters learn how to play. It was great, all that energy and marching. But I didn't get the upkeep I really needed, and eventually, well, I was put away because I wasn't shiny anymore. My pads were old, hadn't had a good bath in decades, had a few dents, and there were a couple of key guards broken. Finally, I was given to the Historical Society. They made sure all my parts were like new. My shine is back. Now I look slick. I'm in a glass enclosure and not a case. Every day, people talk about how beautiful I am, the good times when John and I played music, and in the background, they play songs from when I was with John. I feel good that I can help others understand the past, which I guess I'm now a part of.
Rather than throwing it out, please donate historical records and objects to your local historical society today.
Good evening. This is your Rexall family druggist speaking to you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of our own store names. We've done that because we recommend and sell the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company. Rexall Anapac is a good example. This wonderful new formula combines antihistamine with time-tested APC compound to bring you quick and effective relief from both cold symptoms and the headache, soreness, and fever that usually accompany a cold. Yes, for all-around relief from colds, ask for Anapac. That's A-N-A-P-A-C, Anapac, at Rexall drugstores everywhere.
And now, back to Preservation Oaks.
Welcome back to Preservation Oaks. I'm your host, Sean Radcliff, and we're here today with Ms. Sharon Leslie Morgan, author and founder of the Our Black Ancestry Foundation, located in Macon, Mississippi. Let's pick up where we left off. Welcome back, Sharon.
Hey, glad to be back. At this point in life, I'm glad to be above ground.
You and me both. Sharon, let's talk about the other side. Researching the enslavers of African Americans. Why is this work equally important, and how do you guide people through it?
It is equally important because African American people were not documented on the census until 1870 with surnames. And so you don't know where they came from. And so you really have to get into researching the white families who likely enslaved them in order to figure out where they came from. They could have been imported from Africa. They could have been transported from New Orleans or South Carolina, but you won't see that unless you do the white people research.
Right. How far? I mean, when I think about slavery, I think about it in the southern states primarily, and the eastern seaboard, and possibly Texas. But were slaves also in the middle west of our country?
Mostly no.
Okay.
But the history is very difficult to figure out.
Right.
But in many cases, enslaved people were transported to the Midwest. And in the Midwest, there was no slavery. And therefore, they were free.
Right. Right.
And so there are examples like in Illinois. I came from Chicago, where Rockford, Illinois was founded basically by a Black man. And he came as a formerly enslaved person. So the permutations of what happened are really difficult to sort through, but it is possible.
Okay. Because I know when Congress opened the Northwest Territory right after the American Revolutionary War, they specifically said there will be no slavery in the Northwest Territory.
And they said that, and then they said, but we will not allow Black people to be here after sundown.
Oh, really? I hadn't heard that.
Now, in the Western United States, as an example, Oregon, they would not allow Black people to settle there.
Oh, I did not know that.
I know.
Well, that's interesting.
The things that you uncover as you do this research are just amazing.
I grew up in a town called Dunlap, Illinois, and it was a population of 600. But there was a town called Pekin, Illinois, and I was amazed. I think it was about 1974, right in there, 73, 74, when they repealed a law in Pekin, Illinois, where Blacks could not be in town after sundown. Yeah, now I know what the deal was there. I'll be darned.
And that was very common.
I did not realize.
There is actually a book. I will not be able to give you all of the information, but it's called Sundown Towns. And it talks about those situations.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to pick that book up.
And that helps explain, I mean, when we traveled, when I traveled as a young person with my mother and father,
right,
the way that he would drive, we would have to drive in daylight. And by nighttime, we had to probably sleep in the car because there was no place you could go.
Oh, my.
And I didn't understand, because I'm a kid, what was going on.
Yeah, sure.
But that is what was going on.
Yeah. And of course, I mean, your parents are going to try to keep that from you, to keep you from that kind of thing. Thank you for sharing that. Sharon, how can white Americans researching their own genealogy approach the possibility of finding enslavers in their lineage with honesty and purpose?
The first answer would be I did that when I wrote my book with Tom DeWolf.
Yep.
Together at the table. He was a descendant of the largest slave trading family in American history. And they came from Rhode Island. And they only actually enslaved 2 people, but they transported probably thousands of them. And so coming to terms with that was what we wrote about in our book, which was that we visited the places of historical significance for my genealogy and for his, and tried to make sense of it. And I think that that gives an example for what white Americans can do, is that first they have to confront the fact that probably if their ancestors came from certain places, like the southern states,
Yep.
they could likely be slaveholders. And they need to do the research and engage in reparative acts.
Now, what are reparative acts?
There can be many things. I have clients who have established scholarship funds. They have done websites where they're trying to attract people to connect with. They have done cemetery preservation. I mean, there are many things.
Okay.
I think sometimes white people become very afraid because when you say reparation, it's like, oh no, I'm not giving up my money. And that is not what it is.
Okay.
It is having the spirit, the good, godly spirit of wanting to atone for something you didn't do, but your ancestors did.
It's like
And
contrition.
the privilege that you enjoy today is because of that. And so now what do we do about it?
Right. Do you have many white researchers that have discovered enslavers in their lineage joining your Facebook page?
Yes,
I thought so. Okay. Okay. That's very interesting.
there are many of them. Yes.
Very
And
cool.
they usually post things looking for descendants of the people that their families enslaved. So
Okay.
we've had great success in being able to make those connections.
Well, you've probably had then some white researchers who have gotten matches on your DNA database.
Yep, that's true too,
Yeah. Okay.
which has been surprising for some people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Boy, what work you're doing to bring the country together. Just amazing. Sharon, how do you handle the emotional and psychological aspects of researching and reconstructing the lives of enslaved ancestors?
It really is a big deal. It's like I can be a very sensitive person. I'm very pragmatic.
Yes.
And the things that I find sometimes just make me so incredibly sad. And I just try to take care of myself by not falling into the rabbit hole. I don't want to I'm not going to let this defeat me.
Yeah. Good. It's so compelling to me to see that you're open about it, you've written about it, you're trying to help people deal with it and be productive and positive about it. I think that's just fantastic. Sharon, I have to assume that your organization collaborates with various partners. Can you tell us about some of these collaborations and how they enhance your mission?
We are very involved with Family Search, which is the Mormon church. And they have efforts to be able to present the records and uncover the history. And that is an ongoing project. But they have been incredibly helpful. I attempted to have a relationship with Ancestry.com, which did not work out because they're only about money and they don't really care.
Okay.
And then I'm involved with a lot of stuff, but those would be the two big.
Now, family history, we talked earlier about there are records in the courthouses and archives in the southern states, the places where slaves were held primarily, that do not exist on Ancestry.com. Do they exist at Family Search?
Some of them do. Family Search has been on a mission to actually record those. An example is that they came to my county here in Mississippi, and they documented the estate files, the probate records.
Yeah.
And those are now online. There's more that they can do, which we're working on. We're trying to get to that.
Fantastic.
But they are much more cooperative about doing these things because it is a religious mission for them, because genealogy is part of the Mormon belief.
Absolutely. Is there any resistance from the counties in giving this information to the church, to Family Search?
Now, in my experience is that the counties do not have the resources to be able to do this on their own.
Right.
And therefore, they welcome the intervention of someone else. So It is a good thing. I have not experienced any, when I've gone to all of the little places, particularly around the South, people are very much interested in genealogy and very much interested in having these records preserved. And so they have been incredibly helpful. I have been to places where I did not think Black people could go. And it worked out because they're so glad to see somebody who came to do some research.
Yeah.
That they're really cool with that.
Yeah. How does your foundation engage with the broader genealogical community, including professional genealogists and academic researchers?
We try to embrace all who are interested in the same mission that we have. So I do everything that I can in order to expand into the bigger universe. Right. I am not a certified genealogist. Okay. Yeah. I am a person with decades of experience. And so I have actually been able, like African American Genealogical and Historical Society, with many other organizations. I am always open to collaboration of whatever kind we can have.
Okay. Fantastic. And do you have many academic researchers on your website because you have records that other places don't have and they can get historical information for?
Mostly they're on the Facebook page, but they're there.
Okay. Yep. Makes sense. Sharon, your foundation is also dedicated to promoting the healing of traumatic wounds that are the legacy of slavery. Can you discuss the importance of this aspect of your work and how it manifests in your projects?
We have experienced historical harm. We are experiencing generational trauma because of that harm. And America is suffering because of that historical harm. It is important that we address this in order to heal it. So the first step is that you have to look at what happened truthfully, and you have to confront it, and then you have to do something about it. So that is what I am interested in doing. And if people read the book, Gather at the Table, you will understand my approach to why this is important.
Yeah, you co-authored that book, Gather at the Table, a memoir about racial reconciliation. What was the hardest part about that journey and the most healing?
No, the hardest part was being locked in a car with the co-author. We went on a road trip, a 30-day road trip with my dog.
Oh, my.
So that was hard.
Yeah.
But it was healing because when we visited the places of historic harm in Rhode Island for him, as his ancestor, who's the largest slave trader in American history, and then we visit Lowndes County, Alabama, which is where some of my ancestors were enslaved. It was amazing to be with a person who was dedicated to the same path. And we came to understandings and ended up being really great friends over the years because of what we did. Because you have to confront it, and then you have to work it out in your head, and then you have to do something about it. So what are you going to do?
I think that's a fantastic book. And I think it's a fantastic act of God that brought you two together and helped you heal together. I'd like to provide listeners with the contact information for the Our Black Ancestry Foundation once again. Their website is ourblack.ancestry.com. You can email them at admin@ourblack.ancestry.com. Their mailing address is Our Black Ancestry Foundation, Incorporated, P.O. Box 445, Macon, Mississippi 39341. And on Facebook, you can join their group, Our Black Ancestry. Sharon, how do you see young people getting involved in this work, and what can be done to get more of them engaged with their family history?
I'm not totally sure about the answer to that, but I will say that in my own family, my grandchildren have become very interested in our family history because of what I do, because I share what I do. Okay, so when I send them their birthday gifts and then I give them history, here's a picture, here's information, these are your great grandparents, and I give them things that I think will attract them, and that seems to be working. I would love to see more young people get involved because they have to realize we didn't come from nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like we are in the situations that we are because of the history that we have experienced, and they are our future. And they need to understand what went before so that they can be instrumental in not letting that happen again.
Yeah, agreed. Do you have any idea what the ratio of young folks to older folks is on your Facebook followers or your Facebook page?
I don't know. I did a research study, and most of the members are mothers who are 35 plus.
Oh.
I do not know about young people.
Okay. Thank you for that. What does a future of informed, healed, and empowered Black ancestry look like to you? And what role can OBA play in helping to create it?
That's a big question. I think the classic quote is, people who do not understand history are doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
So I think that the future that I'm looking for is that we don't repeat this. The only role that I can play is the little universe that I work in. I have Our Black Ancestry Foundation, and I'm devoted to that. And you asked very early on, it's like, how do you decide what you're going to be involved in? So this is what I do. And I hope that it makes a difference.
I think it has for many, many people. And thank you for that. Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt everybody. but it's time for us to take a break for a few minutes. Listeners, we'll be right back after this important message about supporting the Our Black Ancestry Foundation.
In the quiet corners of history, too many stories have been left untold. Names forgotten, lives erased. For millions of African Americans, the search for identity begins with a single question. Who am I and where did I come from? The Our Black Ancestry Foundation, based in Macon, Mississippi, is helping to answer that question one family, one ancestor, one breakthrough at a time. Founded by award-winning genealogist and author Sharon Leslie Morgan, this nonprofit organization is dedicated to helping people of African descent discover their roots, reclaim their heritage, and heal from the intergenerational trauma of slavery. But the work is far from over. From digitizing fragile historical records to preserving Black cemeteries and ancestral lands, to maintaining a powerful online portal that connects thousands of people in search of their families, the Our Black Ancestry Foundation is doing the quiet, essential work of restoration and unity among Americans of all colors. And they need your help.
Your donation supports critical research, educational resources, and preservation projects that would otherwise be lost to time. When you give, you're not just donating to a foundation, you're giving someone the power to say, I know where I come from. To learn more, visit OurBlackAncestry.com or email admin@OurBlackAncestry.com. You can also send your support by mail to P.O. Box 445, Macon, Mississippi 39241. You are the dream. Discover the dreamers. Donate today to the Our Black Ancestry Foundation.
This is John Lake. Now, I'm going to talk about Rinso. New Rinso with Solium. And all I want to do is tell you a simple fact. New Rinso with Solium gets white clothes whiter than new, and washable colors brighter than brand new. That's right, not just whiter, but whiter than new. And washable colors not just brighter, but brighter than brand new. Now, I think you'd better try New Rinso and see it happen yourself. The secret is Solium, Rinso's new, amazing scientific sunlight ingredient. And New Rinso is so wonderful, it's such an entirely new idea in washing clothes, it will even do this. Clothes that are dried indoors, wash that's dried in the cellar or the attic, will turn out really brighter. Rinso with Solium puts sunshine in your wash. Rinso is safe for clothes and so kind to hands. Next wash day, better try New Rinso yourself. Remember, only New Rinso contains Solium.
My superpower? Making complex topics sound ridiculously simple and fun on the Preservation Oaks podcast. It's time to level up your knowledge with me, Liz Kirstens, the mastermind behind the Plymouth Historical Museum.
This is Garth Krewall from the Port Hope Area Historical Society, and I love listening to Sean Thomas Radcliff on Microstream Radio.
Hello there. This is Beth Russell, Membership Director at the Prentwater Historical Society. History isn't boring when you listen to Preservation Oaks with Sean Radcliff. It's epic.
And now, back to Preservation Oaks.
Welcome back to Preservation Oaks. I'm your host, Sean Radcliff, and we're here today with Sharon Leslie Morgan from the Our Black Ancestry Foundation, located in Macon, Mississippi. Let's pick up where we left off. I'm learning an awful lot, and I'm really appreciative of having an opportunity to talk with Sharon. Now back to the show. What are some of the upcoming projects or initiatives that the Our Black Ancestry Foundation has planned?
Okay, one big thing I'm working on right now is that I want to create software that is specific to African American research.
Oh.
So I have a developer that I'm working with who hopefully is going to help me do that, because the present family tree software does not satisfy what we need as African Americans.
In what way will it be different? It'll be obviously a mobile app, right, is what you're working on?
Well, I mean, it'll be a mobile app. It'll be something that you'll be able to download. And then, yes, it will be mobile.
Yeah.
But it will be, one good example would be being able to document your possible slaveholders and incorporate that into your family picture.
You're right. That's something that's not, okay.
It's not out there.
I get what you're going for. Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. When will that be available?
I'm not quite sure yet. We just started working on it.
Okay. That's a lot of work. But
it's very clear to me. And I've approached the others. I've approached Ancestry.com. I've approached Roots Magic. I've approached Heritage. And they have all said, oh, this is really interesting. But they don't want to do it because they don't feel it's marketable.
Oh, that's too bad.
So
Okay.
I think it's marketable.
Yeah. Well, you would know better than anyone else because you've built the market.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, how can listeners support the work of the Our Black Ancestry Foundation and contribute to your mission?
Number one is join the website, because the membership fee is like $25 a year.
Right.
And so that's a very limited amount of income. So there are things that I want to do, that I'm trying to do, that I have to pay for, that I just don't have the money for because I don't have enough members. Facebook is free.
Yeah.
So there's no income off of that. And that really is a problem, because I'm frustrated in what I might be able to do if people would just join the website.
Right. Do you make appeals on your Facebook page from time to time for people to go over and join the website?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because with 37,000 people, yeah, you should be able to attract some of them over there.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting. Now, Sharon, let's talk legacy. What's something you hope your work continues to inspire long after we're gone?
I want for what I am doing to continue. So I have enlisted my son to take over Our Black Ancestry when I am gone.
Oh, good.
I am 74 years old. I do not know how many days, years I have left. But I really want it to continue because I think it is important. So he's committed to that. And I'm committed to that. And now my grandkids are getting interested in that.
Oh, good.
So hopefully it's going to continue. Because I've seen other things like Afrogenius is basically dying because the founders, other than me, have died.
Oh.
So I don't want to lose this.
Yep. It's important. Thank you for that. Now, I understand you're a member of the DAR organization. Would you like to comment about Independence Day since this is the 4th of July episode?
I'll start by saying it was a big ordeal with getting DAR. And the only way that I could do that was by tracing the white ancestor who enslaved my Black ancestors. Okay? And so it took a very long process in order to prove that genetically that was true.
Oh, yeah.
But I made it. And now I am very active in the local society and trying to change their paradigm, which they are actually cooperating with. Commenting on Independence Day, one thing we need to do is recognize that there were Black patriots. Crispus Attucks was the first one to get shot down, okay, in the Revolutionary War. And there are others. There's Prince Whipple. There are others. And it is important that that part of our history not be lost and that it not be ignored.
Right. Now, there were Black regiments in the Revolutionary War, if I remember reading that.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is not my expertise, but that is true.
Yeah. I wonder if the DAR has documented all that.
They've documented some of it, but not all. And I think as Black people, we don't pursue engagement with white organizations like DAR.
Oh, okay.
And I think that we have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
In order to make a change. Because if we don't get in there and speak up like I do here in Knoxville County, then our voice will never be heard.
Well, Black people are citizens of the United States and they're Americans, and they fought in every war, I'm sure, that we've had in this country.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, yeah, you should get in there. That's what they're there for. So, happy Independence Day, Sharon. I'm glad of what you said. Sharon, finally, what message would you like to leave with our listeners who are embarking on their own journeys to discover their African American roots?
I encourage anyone who is trying to discover their family roots to continue with the research. It can be very daunting, but it is very valuable because it gives you a sense of knowing we stand on the shoulders of some very strong people.
Yes.
They endured slavery. And so what can we endure? We have to acknowledge and respect and honor everything that they did. And it's very important that we do that so that those stories are not lost.
Absolutely. And you know, I interview historical societies, genealogical societies, and museums all across the country. And all of them pretty much are focusing on discovering the Black ancestors, the Black folks in their communities, and highlighting them and gathering information about them. So that work is ongoing in our country now.
Yeah, I mean, we got a Pope now. Pope Leo has family from New Orleans.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's great.
So you never know what you might find.
That is true. That is absolutely true. Sharon, I want to thank you for such a wonderful and open conversation today. It's been a pleasure learning about the incredible impact you and your organization have in accomplishing your mission. And I really am inspired by all that you're doing and all that you plan to do with the app. I want people to understand the Finding Your Ancestors book and the Gather at the Table book. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll end our time with our guest, Sharon Leslie Morgan. Listeners, please stay tuned for my comments and wrap-up, which is coming up next. And that brings us to the close of this powerful episode of Preservation Oaks. I'd like to sincerely thank our guest, Ms. Sharon Leslie Morgan, the founder of the Our Black Ancestry Foundation based in Macon, Mississippi. Sharon is an award-winning, world-traveled professional author and genealogist who has dedicated her life to helping African Americans reconnect with family and reckon with the legacy of slavery. Her compassion, clarity, and hard-won wisdom shine through in every word, and we're deeply honored to have had her on our show. Throughout our conversation, Sharon shared moving and deeply personal stories, such as meeting her formerly enslaved great-grandmother as a child, and tracing her great-great-grandmother Betty, who bore 17 children with the nephew of her enslaver. These aren't just genealogical facts. They're threads in the fabric of American history, too often forgotten. Sharon is ensuring they're remembered, not only for herself, but for many others across the country. And in doing so, she's helping strengthen the bonds that unite us as Americans. She also shared how her own healing journey inspired her to co-author Gather at the Table with Tom DeWolf, a descendant of one of America's largest slave trading families. That journey, full of confrontation, reconciliation, and transformation, is a testament to what can happen when people of goodwill walk through history together. Some of Sharon's incredible books include Gather at the Table, her powerful racial reconciliation memoir, Finding Your Family Tree, her latest book from 2023, which is a beginner's guide that's already helping thousands take their first steps into African American genealogical research. One of the most compelling parts of today's discussion was hearing about the Our Black Ancestry Foundation's mission to not only reconnect African American families with their past, but to preserve historic records, restore dignity, and foster healing from generational trauma. The Foundation's motto, "You are the dream, discover the dreamers," is as inspirational as it is actionable. Sharon also spoke about the Foundation's plans for a brand new mobile application, one purpose-built to serve the unique needs of African American genealogical research. Unlike other genealogy platforms, this new software will let users document potential slaveholders and other complex relationships that are essential for building an accurate family picture. But this incredible project needs community support. So if you're listening and feel moved, now's the time to act. Here's how you can support the Our Black Ancestry Foundation. First of all, become a member. Membership is just $25 a year. It gives you access to exclusive, well-curated African American genealogical resources not available anywhere else. Number two, join the Facebook community at Our Black Ancestry. With over 37,000 members, it's a vibrant, peer-powered space for sharing questions, breakthroughs, and getting support. Number three, contribute financially or volunteer. Sharon and her team rely on volunteers and small donations to keep their work going. And number 4, spread the word. Tell friends, family, and your local history or genealogy groups about this vital organization. Now you can reach the foundation and learn more at their website, ourblackAncestry.com. You can email them at admin@ourblackAncestry.com. Their mailing address is Our Black Ancestry Foundation, Incorporated, P.O. Box 445, Macon, Mississippi 39341. And on Facebook, you can search for Our Black Ancestry to find that wonderful group. As we reflect on the lessons Sharon shared, I'd like to highlight the most resonant takeaway. History is not only about the past, it's about our identity, our healing, and our future. History is complex and messy and has to be viewed from multiple viewpoints to accurately understand it. Whether you're Black, white, or any other identity, if your ancestors were enslaved or enslavers, there's power in facing those truths with courage, grace, and purpose. If you're embarking on your own journey to discover your African American roots, remember Sharon's advice. Start with yourself, then work your way back through your parents and grandparents. Use DNA as a tool, but build your tree first. And most importantly, do not fear what you might find. Instead, honor the resilience and dreams of those who came before you. To Sharon, thank you so much for your honesty, your scholarship, and your heart. You're truly a national treasure. You are the dream. Discover the dreamers at the Our Black Ancestry website and become a member today. Sharon Leslie Morgan and the Our Black Ancestry Foundation is truly one of our nation's preservation oaks. Now, if questions occur to you and you'd like more information, please connect with the foundation via the contact information provided. If you're a listener researching Black ancestors or enslavers and you're not already supporting the foundation as a member, please consider joining and supporting them. I hope this information helps the audience understand how valuable the organization is to the community and what kinds of excellent services they have to offer to their members and the public. All right, that's a wrap for this Independence Day episode. Music used today is from Cymbalbird, Mood Mode, Premium Beat, Texas Brother, Bijan Tillion, Audio Stock Box, Piano Days, and Scott Holmes. Hey, this is Sean Radcliff. See you all next time on Preservation Oaks. And until then, keep on giving and keep on living the good life.
Microstream Radio is a registered trademark. You can visit at www.microstreamradio.com. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted by Microstream Radio. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, reproduced, copied, or used anywhere without the written permission of Microstream Radio. Preservation Oaks starring Sean Radcliff originates in Salt Lake City, Utah. Be sure to join us for our next episode on your favorite podcast platform. This is Thaddeus Dillon speaking. Preservation Oaks has come to you through the worldwide podcast platform Podbean, and our home is preservationoaks.podbean.com. Hopefully you found today's episode useful, informative, and thought-provoking. If so, please like, follow, comment, and/or subscribe. Remember that being free means being free to be curious, and that historical and genealogical societies and museums allow us to discover the past, be free to explore, where curiosity opens every door. Thanks to everyone for listening. Stay cozy, curious, and keep exploring the incredible stories that shape our world. Remember to cherish and support the preservation of history in your own communities. The content of this program is provided for educational and informational purposes only. Some material included in this program may be copyrighted by third parties. However, under Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act, the doctrine of fair use allows the limited use of copyrighted material without requiring permission from the rights holders when used for purposes such as education, criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. These uses are legally permitted even if they might otherwise constitute infringement. If you wish to use copyrighted material from this program for purposes beyond fair use, you must obtain permission from the copyright owner. If you believe your copyrighted material has been used in this program in a way that does not qualify as fair use, please contact us at preservationoaks@gmail.com. Thank you.